जिंदा खुदा से दिल जो लगाते तो खूब था,
जिंदा खुदा से दिल जो लगाते तो खूब था।
मुर्दा बुतों से जान, मुर्दा बुतों से जान छुड़ाते तो खूब था.
Okay, can I please request Sabahat Aman Emma to recite it aloud, please?
Assalamu alaikum.
So.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا معشر الجن والإنس ألم يأتكم رسل منكم يقصون عليكم آياتي وينذرونكم لقاء يومكم هذا. قالوا شهدنا على أنفسنا وغرتهم الحياة الدنيا وشهدوا على أنفسهم أنهم كانوا كافرين. The translation of the verses recited before you is as follows. I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, ever merciful. O company of jinn and men, did not messengers come to you from among yourselves, who related to you my signs, and who warned of you the meeting of this your day? They will say, we bear witness against ourselves, and the worldly life deceived them. And they will bear witness against themselves that they were disbelievers. Jazakallah.
Good, Jazakallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Amma ba'du, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Right, today there'll be two sides to the topic. The first will begin with what is jinn, and then there'll be a chance for any questions, comments, or anything like this. And then we'll move on to black magic, evil eye, and things like this. Okay, so let's begin. What is jinn? The Holy Quran relates that he, Iblis, was one of the jinn, a secret creation. Then he chose to disobey God's order. Chapter 18, verse 51. Again, Holy Quran relates, I have created the jinn and men only that they may serve me. Chapter 51, verse 57. So who and what are jinn? Many people believe, and this is mainly due to the stories of Arabian Nights, that the jinn are mighty and powerful genies, as depicted in the film Aladdin. This concept of jinn, that they are ghost-like creatures which are part human and part hobgoblin and can adopt as many shapes and forms as they please, that is largely superstitious. Some people feel that they are particularly prone to haunt and possess women and the weak, and that they can be mastered and pressed into service and perform fantastic tasks at their command, such as materializing anything they want out of thin air, and they can be trapped in a lamp. This is just human fantasy, but it can sometimes also be very dangerous. There was a case only a few years ago in England where a Muslim leader, religious leader, a Maulvi, he beat a poor woman to death, believing that she was possessed by an evil jinn. Now, the word jinn means he covered up or concealed, invisibility, seclusion, and remoteness. It has a wide variety of applications in Islamic teachings. It has been used to mean snakes, which live a life secluded from other animals and tries to remain hidden from common view. Jinn can also apply to women who observe segregation and to such chieftains who keep the distance from the common people. There are also many verses in the Holy Quran which refer to powerful people, people of great influence and authority. It could also relate to people who live in remote places, like in the mountains. In other words, it can be used to describe anything which lies beyond the reach of common sight. The Holy Prophet Muhammad strongly admonished people not to use dried up lumps of dung or bones of dead animals for cleansing themselves after attending the call of nature, because they also are food for the jinn. Here, jinn can refer to ants, or it can refer to bacteria. We also understand jinn are made from fire. They may be some kind of spiritual being, similar to angels, which Allah has created. Maybe Iblis was one from this kind of jinn. But these kind of jinn we know very little about. Certainly, the Holy Quran does not support the idea that there are some sort of creation which occupies women and whose service can be utilized through charms for gaining other people's love, etc. These seem to be superstitious tales used on the ignorant to play on their weaknesses. Okay, as I said, there's two parts, and we'll move on to the black magic and so on and so forth, ghosts and things like this next. But first of all, let's ask if anybody's got any questions, comments, anything they want to say on this particular subject first. So now the ball's in your court. So if anybody's got anything they'd like to say, either you can unmute yourself, raise your hand, or send a message through chat.
Assalamu alaikum, Rabbi Saab, this topic here.
GS.
Rabbi Saab, this topic is very hot, especially from our African continent, where we have jadus. I don't know about Pakistan and other parts, but I know these magicians, they are all over. My question, Rabbi Saab, is that how do we actually describe or differentiate between the jaddu musicians, because these are even these so-called pastors, evangelical pastors, they are using in that fame equally the Muslim cleric also, as you have beautifully said in the beginning. So how can we actually answer them that what you're doing is not actually related to what you're trying to think? I don't know whether my question is clear, Rabbi Saab.
Your question is very clear. And in Pakistan, there's also similar things, peers and things like that. But the answer for that, you're going to have to wait to the next part, because that's what we're covering in the next part, not this part. So has anybody got any questions on the jinn? You can ask that again, or we'll answer that. Maybe if the answer, see if it's answered in the next session. If not, you can ask a question again. GS.
So we got one question in chat. The question is, so if I were to give someone a definition of jinn in general, would it be correct to say creature that lives in
Seclusion.
seditions?
Seclusion?
Yeah. Seclusion. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we've explained, that anything like that, anything which lives apart from you, this is why even powerful people are known as jinn, because they are not mixing with the common people. So I'll give examples of uh, the ants, the snakes, and things like that. Anything which does not keep, um, is hiding themselves, keeping in seclusion, that can be referred to jinn. So this is the one sort of jinn. Obviously, there's a second sort, which is like iblis. And iblis, of course, that sort of jinn has free will. So it's not an angel. An angel hasn't got free will. But as man's got free will, so iblis, of course, has free will. But that, I mean, again, that's more to do with evil. And again, it's quite clear in the Holy Quran that their only power is suggestion again. So it's the same thing. It's a power of suggestion, trying to get you to do things which is going against God. So this idea of possessing you, as many people think, or having this powerful genie which you can just rub a lamp and it comes and grants you free wishes and things like this is the wrong understanding of jinn. As I said, it's come from Arabian Nights. I presume people know about Arabian Nights. It's a stories which one king used to have a wife and kill her the next day. And when it came to the term of this other lady to try to save herself, she told a story to the king. And the next night, and the next night, and for 40 nights, she was telling all these stories, which is called the Arabian Nights. And after 40 nights, the king had fell in love with her and so didn't kill her. So these stories that she was making up, that had this idea of these jinns with powerful magic and things like that. So that's why I'm saying it comes from there, the Arabian Nights. It's the first time it comes into Islamic understanding. Okay, anything else, or shall we move on?
We got two more questions, Rabsab. One is about the creation of jinn. Out of what we know from Islamic teaching, what do we know about the jinn that are made of fire?
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the unseen. We don't know too much about that because obviously it's not found in this world. So what that is, what's the purpose of that, and so on and so forth, we don't know. I mean, obviously, we know about the story of Iblis in the Holy Quran, and Allah said that Iblis is one of the jinn. So the idea of that is it's representing evil. He's a shaitan. Shaitan is evil. Anything evil is shaitan. And Iblis is representation, a persifying evil. And obviously, he tries to, like I say, seduce you. He says that I'll get in front of you, I'll get behind you, attack you from the sides, but it's all the power of seduction. So if you don't listen to it, he's got no power over you. So this idea that people have of being possessed by this jinn, by this evilness, that it overtakes you. Yes, you can get possessed, of course, if you allow it. I often use the example of hearing one time on a radio of a person saying that no one told me about smoking, but I started smoking, and after 7 times, I became hooked. And I always question that why would a person who didn't like the cigarette but kept doing it over 7 times means that that person had been told at some point that you will enjoy this, and so kept trying until they enjoyed it, until they became hooked. So this is the thing. This is what happens with evil, that if we allow it to overcome us, if we allow to act upon it, then of course you become an evil person. We see evil people all the time, but that's because they've allowed it to become part of them. But obviously the Holy Prophet Muhammad said that his shaitan is chained and that evil cannot affect him. So we have the ability to say no. We don't have to listen to these suggestions. And this is what God is telling us. And this is the story of Iblis in the Holy Quran about Adam and Iblis and how Iblis is trying to lead mankind astray. So if you listen to Iblis, then yes, he will lead you astray. But what we're talking about here is possession. And this idea of possession, no, because again, it comes to the day of judgment. And that on the day of judgment, if you're facing God and God says, why did you do evil? And you said, I was possessed by a jinn, I was possessed by Iblis or whatever. What's God going to say? Oh, he's done it again. No, this is no good. So this is not the way. Everyone will be judged according to what they chose to do, which means that we have the ability to refuse. So we can't be forced to do anything. It's our choice. We've allowed it to happen. Okay, I hope that's explained it. You said there was another question?
Yes, the next question is by the jinn made of fire, does the Holy Quran refer to the one-off creation of Iblis, or does it refer to a sort of a species of jinn?
I mean, again, it's the same as we were saying last week about evolution, that Allah has created so much variety that there's no two things on the earth the same. So if Allah can create variety on the earth, physical things, of course, spiritually, why not? So we don't say that there's only a one-off Iblis or one-off jinn. This is a spiritual side which Allah may have created for whatever reason. And of course, Allah can create varieties. So we can't say, we don't know too much about it because obviously we only know whatever is mentioned in the Holy Quran or the Holy Prophet Muhammad or the Prophet Messiah. And that's quite limited because it's all part of the unseen. And that's what it means, unseen, that we don't know too much about it. So the Holy Quran just says that the jinn are made of fire. So that creation of jinn is made of fire. How it's made of fire, what kind of fire, whether it's the fire that we have in this physical world, that's a different thing. But it's just basically saying that there is this fiery sort of maybe temperament or whatever it is. But like I said, there's also the other side of jinn where Allah is saying that the jinn and man will worship him. And then we believe that that is the secluded things. And as we said, it can be animals, it can be uh, people of a higher position and things like this. Okay, so shall we move on to the next part, the ghosts and evil and things like this, and then we can always ask questions about this and come back to this afterwards, inshallah. Right. So the next question is: have we contacts with ghosts, spirits, etc.? So again, as we're talking about the jinn and whether it can possess us, the question comes, can these ghosts and spirits possess us? We see haunted houses where they possess haunted houses, or people say that they've been possessed and things like that. So according to the Holy Quran, the Hadith, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad and the experience of many pious saints, it is possible for a person to communicate with the souls of the dead, but only through visions. And this is what we should understand. It's a vision. There's a difference between a reality and a vision. So we can speak to a dead person for a vision, but once they're dead, they're dead. We can't speak to these sorts of ghosts like people say. The Holy Quran relates in chapter 23, verse 100 to 101, until when death comes to one of them, he says, entreating, my Lord, send me back that I might be righteous, that I might do righteous deeds in the life that I have left behind. Never. It is but a word that he utters, and behind them is a barrier until a day when they shall be raised up again. So here it shows quite clearly that once you're dead, properly dead, you can't come back to life. There's a barrier, and that's it. So this idea of a ghost sort of coming back, it doesn't talk about that sort of thing. So here, as it's saying, is a clear declaration of the Holy Quran that they, the parted souls, can never return back to this world. However, as we said, it's possible that they can return in a vision. And as I said, the Holy Prophet, many saintly people like this, they see visions. I've heard many people say that they've seen people, loved ones and things like that in visions. But it's a vision. We should understand it's a vision, not a ghost. So the body or the soul does not return, but like in your dreams, when you meet people and talk to them in your dreams, but they're not really there. It's just a dream. Now, we all have dreams. We all have experienced this sort of thing. So likewise, the same can happen in what we call a waking vision. So here you're awake, but you see this vision, which we call kashf. It's a waking vision. You're not sleeping, you're awake, but you can still see the things as you see in a dreams. In a vision, what's seen is not the actual thing or being, but you may converse with a vision or form of the person. So again, maybe some people get confused with this, I don't know. But obviously, we've seen people told us they can see a vision, they can talk to that vision, and so on and so forth. But if you ask that vision, that tell me about the hereafter, they won't tell you this. There's a message that they are giving you, and that relates to this world and not the next world. So it's not ghosts coming back, but some sort of vision. The next part is, and this is what Toby was going on about, what is black magic, evil eye, etc. Now, concerning black magic, yes, magic, whether it's white or black magic, it is about deception, trickery, etc. When you see a magician perform a trick, he can easily fool you. It is magic. Now, we see this all the time, and it's wonderful. You know, I look at these magicians, and I don't know how many of them do it. Sometimes you can guess how they're doing it. But these magicians these days, what they're achieving is wonderful. But we understand, everyone understands, it's a trick. It's not reality, it's a deception. And that's what we need to understand. So as we're seeing this with what I term white magic, so it's the same with black magic. So for us, what we should be doing is putting our trust in Allah. Now, most of this type of magic is making or getting you to think that some great thing has happened. But as I said, it's deception, it's tricks. But the more you believe in this stuff, the more you allow its control. Sorry. So we don't believe in it. Instead, we should believe in Allah and put our full trust in Allah. So it's important that we always keep control of ourselves. As I said, you had this ability. Every one of us has ability. We can control everything we do. No one can force us to do anything. But if we turn to superstition in an attempt to avoid these things, then we're allowing these superstitions to overtake us. This should not be the way. So when someone says, for instance, they're putting the evil eye on you, what does it mean? It's just you are believing that they put some evil eye on you, but you're allowing that to overcome you. And so if anything bad happens, you're going to blame the evil eye and say, oh, that was it. It was the evil eye. So what we should be doing is trust Allah and pray to Allah. And Allah will protect you from such harm. So yes, of course, as I said, as there's white magic, there's black magic. There are these sorts of, I can't remember what Toby said, Jutu or something like that, people who do these sorts of things. And of course, there is substance there, as we see with white magic. But the main thing is that we should be putting our trust in Allah. If you allow these things to happen, then it can affect you. So we see people, for instance, getting hypnotized. And that's because, again, they've allowed it to happen. Otherwise, someone can't just hypnotize you just like that. So no doubt, as I was saying, some people can hypnotize you. They can deceive you. They can do these tricks. I've got a picture here of a famous magician, Houdini. I'm sure many people have heard of this. David Blaine and many other magicians, they do wonderful things. And obviously we're seeing this and we believe in this. But this, as I said, is magic. Whether it's white, black magic, whatever it is, it's deception. And of course, we are open to deception. We can be deceived. But that's only because we've allowed ourselves to be deceived. Whatever way they're using these days, often it is photography, trick photography, mirrors, things like this, sometimes trapdoors, whatever ways there are, they appear to be doing a magic trick. But a trick's a trick, it's deception. As I said, most of this stuff, it's the power of suggestion. They're putting an idea into your head, trying to get you to believe, and you're seeing things and you think these are things that are happening. I mean, we see the example in the Holy Quran of Moses and his staff that turned into a snake, and it swallowed up all the magician tricks. What it did was it revealed their deceptions. So don't allow yourself to be deceived. Now, Jatura, or whatever Toby was saying, in Pakistan, we have the peers and things like this. And again, all these sorts of people, they try to use suggestions to make you believe that something bad will happen to you. Here in this picture is again a Mulvi peer or whatever, trying to get the jinn for the person, the whoever's possessed that person, and hit them with a stick and so on and so forth. So this is what they will put forward. Now, they want you to believe these things. There are reasons for that. Sometimes it is power, that they've got a position, they want people to respect you, respect them. Sometimes it's just get money from you. But for a believer, we should always be putting our trust in Allah and prayer. Prayer is the main way. And pray to Allah, and He will protect you from all these evil designs. Again, in Pakistan and things like this, maybe again in Africa, you have the bottled waters with black magic or the kalama or taweez, stuff that you put around your neck. It's got some sort of message in. You're not meant to open it up. It's just some sort of message. Or the evil eye, that's a very common one. These are all superstitions, Pakistani, Indian, African, whatever. They are superstitions. But how can they affect you? They can only affect you if you want to believe in it and you think that bad things will happen to you. So then if anything does happen that's bad, you're going to blame that thing. You're going to say it was a taweez, it was the evil eye, it was that kalama or whatever it was that's caused it. Whereas in reality, you're allowing these things to affect you. This is why also horoscopes and things like that is forbidden in Islam, because fortune tellers will make up things, but the effect of it can change you. And if someone tells you they're giving you an evil eye, that can affect you, that can change you. So if we give weight to these sort of things, that's when it starts affecting you. Now, with this taweez, for instance, if there really is something in that, if it's a prayer or something like that, then we should be praying to Allah. Why are we wearing it around the neck or in a bottle or things like that? It could be anything. We don't know what it's in because we don't look at it. It could be a nursery rhyme. It could be a prayer. It could be anything. So when we look at the example of the Prophet Islam, because there was even people in the time of the Prophet, saintly people, I can't think what his name is now, but one person I was reading about his life story, and he used these sort of things. But the Promised Messiah said to him and others that you pray instead. This is what we should be doing, requesting Allah for help and seeking Allah's protection. And understanding that shaitan has no power over you except this power of suggestion. But if you listen to that suggestion, then yes, shaitan can make you do evil, bad things. And the more you do it, the more possessed you become as such. But Allah's given you the ability not to listen. And you will be judged on what you do. As I said, this is very important that we understand that we can't blame an evil eye or jittu or peer or something like that as making us do something. At the end of the day, you have done it. So if you fear anything and you have a nightmare or something like that, the best thing to do is say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, that I seek refuge with Allah from shaitan, the accursed. Pray to Allah and Allah will protect you. But if you start putting your trust in these black magic or the bottles of water, kalamas, tazwee, or whatever that is, instead of Allah, then really you've got to be questioning, who are you really worshipping? Is it Allah or shaitan? So we have the free will, we have the choice. It's up to us what we choose. No one is going to force you to do good. No one's going to force you to do evil unless you allow that to happen. Okay, so this is the second part. And now, again, it's open to anybody who's got any questions, any chats or anything they want to say. Maybe they've got some experiences they want to relate. It's up to them. Okay, I can see that Mashal's got her hand up. You want to ask something or say something?
Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I wanted to ask. So obviously, we see a lot of Gharamdis, and you mentioned it as well, slightly as well, that they show possession of jinns, and you see these peers who do try to take out the jinn from them and stuff. I've never really obviously seen any righteous person or any MD, anything as such nature occurring with them. If you could just shine some light on as to what kind of the background is and what actually does go on. Do they actually deem and understand that they do get possessed by jinns? What is it exactly that goes on? If you could just kind of comment on that, please.
Well, I thought I'd explain, but basically, like I say, it is a suggestion that they're putting forward to you that if a person, for instance, has some bad luck, some things go wrong, they can blame walking under a ladder, they can blame breaking a mirror or whatever it is. Bad luck happens. It happens to everyone. We all face trials and tribulations. But when we start associating that with something else, then we start blaming that. It's a way of moving the responsibility. So with these people, they make this suggestion that if, for instance, a person does something wrong, they say, oh, he must be possessed. He must have a jinn inside him or something like that. How do we get it out? And so they go to these peers who will try to beat it out and nonsense like this. There's a reason why you don't find that happening in Ahmadis, because there's nothing to it. It is just superstition that you find in Africa, you find in Pakistan, in India, places like that, which has grown through people talking about these sorts of things. So as I said, the most common one, I mean, I get this all the time on my website, people asking these questions that about the evil eye, or as I said, this bottle of water. I've never heard that one before. But as we hear that quite often. So these are just objects which people are trying to get you to believe in as such. And it's up to you whether you believe it or don't believe it. So if you choose not to believe in it, then if something bad happens, it happens. It's life. But because those people who choose to believe in it, that same thing happens to them, then they say it's because of that thing. And so they start giving power to this, and they start telling people how they've been possessed and how these things are happening. And this is how the superstition develops and grows. So, of course, there are people who do practice these sorts of things, no doubt. As I said, there are people who have what I call white magic magicians, and they practice that, and they're very good at this deception. But understand that as it's the same with the white magicians that we see on TV and things like that, is the same with the black magicians or the black magic, that it's all about deception. And it can't affect you unless you allow it. So this is the danger that people have. They allow these things. They think that, yes, we have been given the evil eye. And so therefore, everything I do now that goes wrong, it's the fault of that evil eye. But if you just dismiss it, then yeah, things will go wrong, of course. Things will go right. That's life. But don't give power to that thing. It's when you start giving power to that thing, then it overtakes you and it becomes worse and worse. So Ahmadis don't believe in this nonsense, and that's why Ahmadis you don't hear stories of this in Ahmadis, which you do in Ahmadis. I hope that's explained it for you. Anybody else wants to say anything? Yes, Toby?
Assalamu alaikum to Rabbi Saab.
Welcome, Salam.
Jazakallah Rabbi Saab. I just wanted to just to share my experience, just in less than not even a minute. First of all, I just want to thank Allah, Alhamdulillah, that Allah enables me, and He enabled me to join the Jamaat, to accept Islam Ahmadiyyat. Many people, obviously, they don't know maybe my background, but I wanted to, on this particular topic, I wanted to share something which you actually just mentioned. Now the Jamaat is growing, and maybe one day some of you, you'll visit my own home or my own village or so on and so forth. That will be another story. In my own family, before I joined the Jamaat, Rabbi Saab, that's what I want to share. That these things were happening. And I continuously was questioning my mind. people come because I got about 3 older brothers who are there, and I'm seeing them, they're taking money from them. You know, my dad is on a different angle. When Allah is going to show you the truth, he show you the truth. By then, I had no idea of what Ahmadiyya is. No idea at all. But quickly, one thing I wanted to mention is that, Murabi Sab, which you mentioned, is that when you start believing in something, your mind will get inclined to that. I remember, and actually I got trouble with that. In my family, they brought somebody that is going to catch jinnis and is going to, and they slaughter the goat and they put the meat there. They said the spirits will come and eat. Well, I waited for them. I've never had opportunity to narrate this, and I thought I should for the benefit of the Ahmadis. If you're born Ahmadis, say Alhamdulillah, but don't take it for granted. So I said to myself while I was watching, I said, I don't think there's somebody they are saying that these things, somebody is coming to eat food and this and that. If he eats food, why is it blood? Why do they take the meat? So briefly, anyway, one day I got, they put the stuff, whatever they put the stuff in one corner, and I threw them away. All of them, I banged them, I broke them up, and this is not stories. So I got into trouble. Obviously, as I said, by then, I'm not an Ahmadi, I'm not looking, but Alhamdulillah, Summa Alhamdulillah, right now, as I speak, where those things were put, some are the places where my family, my wife, we are now trying to construct a small mosque, breaking the houses of those so-called houses of spirits. So I wanted to share this, Murabi Sab, for the benefit of the members. But some people, they see us trying to work our legs off, to try to think to, oh, maybe he's inspired. No, we have a big garbage at the back. We're just trying to say, oh Allah, if I do this, I may help other people. Murabi Sahab, Jazakallah for giving me time, and Jazakallah for explaining this. But I am first-hand information. I have experienced this. I have seen my parent go through this. I've seen my mom go through this. And when I joined the Jamaat, I said to my dad, I said to my mom, I will be one son and continuously to pray for you. But these things which you're praying for, they are useless. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It reminds me when you were talking about the story of Hazrat Ibrahim and with his parents and how he broke the idols and same sort of thing, trying to get them to realize that this is foolish what you're doing. So alhamdulillah, this is the main thing that Allah guides us to the right path, and it's for us, of course, to make that decision and to choose that right path. And alhamdulillah, I'm very pleased that you chose that right path and you found the right way. Right, anybody else got any stories they want to narrate or any questions they want to ask, or is there any chats or anything like this?
So we have few questions in chat. So first question is, was a magic tried on Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam?
There was on the Promised Messiah, of course, there's a famous story where, well, even on the Holy Prophet, it talks about, okay, let's go to that one first, where one time, even before he was a prophet, no, I think he was a prophet, but there was one person who was in debt to Abu Jahl, and he came he wanted money from Abu Jahl. Trying to think the story now, and someone said, you should go to, as mischief, you should go to the Holy Prophet, he will help you out. And so he went and I can't remember where it is now, but anyway, Abu Jahl came and he gave the person, oh, that's right, the Holy Prophet went to Abu Jahl, and then Abu Jahl gave the money to the person, and he said, why? And he said, oh, I saw these lions or whatever it was, I can't remember his full story now, they're going ready to attack me. With the Promised Messiah, there was one person, apparently he was trying to influence the Promised Messiah, and again it had no effect on the Promised Messiah, and he said, look, this person's trying to do his magic or whatever, it will not affect me. So this is the main thing, as I said, that if we allow these things to happen, then of course we can be overcome by them. But if we dismiss them and say no and put our trust in Allah, then Allah will protect you, and that's all you need to worry about. So there are these people who try to make these visions, these deceits and things like that. But as I said, they can't possess you. They can't do the damage that they threaten to do. There's just threats, just trying to get you to do what they want you to do. Okay, is that it? Any more questions, or is that it? You said there was more?
Ji, Rabbi Sahib. So the next question, in fact, I got three questions with a similar type of question.
Mm.
Is palmistry, astrology, or horoscope are the type of magic or black magic? Horoscope is classified as a suggestion according to random algorithm.
Yeah, they are forbidden in Islam. I wouldn't say they're magic as such, but they're same sort of danger. What is horoscope or palm reading? Someone is trying to tell you your future. Now, if I came to you and said that I've seen your future, you are going to marry this girl of 16 years old. She comes from this village, this description, things like that. And then a lady of 24 comes and perfect for you. You may dismiss that lady of 24 because I've told you you're going to marry a girl of 16. That's the danger of this sort of thing, that subconsciously you can allow it to affect you. And some of it may come true, no doubt, but a lot of it will be false. So, for instance, if you read the hand, I'm a classic case. On my hand, apparently I'm not meant to get married, but I'm married. So if you start following this nonsense, it can affect you if you believe in it. So it's the same with the horoscopes and things like this, astronomy. If you allow these people to affect you, then it's the same as what I'm saying with this black magic and things like that. It's all the power of putting a suggestion in your mind and then you acting upon the suggestion, doing something which you may not normally have done. So that's the danger, and that's why it's been forbidden. Because we've seen people sometimes, they've been told the future and it can change the whole life, trying to make that future that they've been told come true. So this is the danger. So we should avoid it. It's not Islamic.
Jazakallah, Rabbi Sahib. There is another question in chat. Is there any possibility that dead person would hear when we address them, for instance, at the graveyard? I do remember reading once where at the battle, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ addressed slayed enemies regarding truth of Islam, and one of his followers asked, "O Prophet, how they can hear you? They are dead." His reply was, "They can hear as clear as you can hear me." So, any comments or any evidence can be given on this matter, please?
Well, I mean, obviously the example was there, which has been given. Generally, a person who's dead is dead, obviously, but with your prayers or talking to them, that may go to their vision. But as I said, they can't come back. That may be that they were here and they will see the consequence of them, in this case, with the Holy Prophet addressing them in the, was put in a well in battle, and stuff like that, that I told you what's going to happen. Now you've seen what's going to happen. Obviously, that may at some point when they are facing the day of judgment, things like that, then these sort of things may be affecting. But let's say, for instance, that you pray to a person who's dead and ask that person that you want such and such. That person can't give it. It's Allah that gives it. So we can pray to Allah and Allah listens, but that person may hear it, but they are powerless. They can only, in a vision, guide you. And that again is Allah allowing you to see that vision. So sometimes people see the Holy Prophet Muhammad, they see the promised Messiah and things like this. Sometimes one person will see, sometimes many people can see. This is the beauty of kashfs. And I've seen this happen where people have seen kashfs and things like this. But that message is only what Allah is giving to you via that medium of a vision. So this is the thing which the Holy Prophet is saying. Yes, I mean, and they often say that when a person is dead, for the first 40 days, they can hear you. Whether they can hear you or not, it's not going to affect them. It's not going to affect you. They obviously will be going to the next world, and whatever they've heard, if they've heard anything, then that will only matter in that world. So it's not going to be affecting you. So again, we shouldn't have this idea that if I say something, that soul, that ghost, whatever can actually make that happen. Pray to Allah, and then it can happen. So always turn to Allah, put your trust in Allah, ask Allah for these things, not dead person or anything like that. It's good to talk to your loved ones and get the burden off your chest, but just talking to them doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just you finding comforting by speaking to a loved one who is now passed away, who previously, obviously, when he was alive, would comfort you. But that's just reassurance. It's not that it can actually help you in that matter. So always turn to Allah. If you need any help, Allah's the one to turn to, not these sorts of things.
Jazakallah Murabbi Sahib. Last question and one comment on chat is, are there any scientific or logical argument that refute such beliefs in evil eyes, witchcraft, etc.? And the comment on this is, the scientific evidence against such belief could be that there is no scientific evidence that supports such beliefs.
I mean, science is based on facts, not belief. This is the problem they have. A scientist with believing in God, it can only base on known facts that you can find out. But as I said, I mean, the evidence is there with witchcraft, with, as I said, normal magicians. I'm sure many of you have seen a magician. Maybe if you're coming from Africa or other countries, there is this voodoo or black magic and witchcraft and things like that. It's the same. As I said, some is good magic, some is bad magic. But magic in itself, whilst it seems very real, at the end of the day, it is deception. There is a means of tricking you into believing that what you're seeing is actually happening, but it's not really there. So it's the same in the other side, black, good, or white or black, whether it is voodoo, things like this. It's obviously there's something there, but if you allow that to overcome you, that's where they can be successful. If you don't allow it to overcome you and resist it, then it can't affect you. So this is what we need to understand. So it's a power of suggestion. Of course, our eyes can be easily deceived. Our mind can be deceived. This is why we've got to be constantly on our guard and make sure that we're not getting deceived in any of these sorts of things. Okay, any more questions?
So namaz time is approaching fast. We got few more questions, but I think we will take that in next class if you allow.
Okay, no problem. Right, so as I said before, if anybody's got any topics that they want to ask about, like this one was asked about, so please let us know, and inshallah we'll try and cover those topics in the near future. Okay, so please join me in silent prayer. Bismillah. I'm sorry, I'm thinking. Ameen. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.